These exposed stone foundations in Stagira mark the starting point for Aristotle's philosophical architecture. Modern philosophy often begins with Cartesian skepticism, a deliberate reflex to doubt the reliability of our own senses. Aristotle starts from the opposite position, a trust in the basic dependability of our perceptual faculties. This method begins by gathering the phenomena. Phenomena are the appearances of the world, the things that appear to be the case through direct observation. They form the baseline for all subsequent inquiry. He then collects the endoxa. Endoxa are the reputable opinions and historical observations handed down by predecessors. We begin by mapping what the wise have already perceived. Comparing these conflicting endoxa reveal aporiae. These are the specific puzzles and contradictions that emerge when credible observations clash, providing the specific problems that logic must solve. This entire empirical method assumes the universe is objectively knowable and that human minds are structurally equipped to record its divisions. For Aristotle, avoiding this inquiry is a rejection of human nature, which begins in wonder at the strange things right in front of us. Aristotle treats philosophy as the rigorous organization of these undeniable physical realities. Categorizing the world requires a single, unbreakable rule of logic to anchor the entire system. That anchor is the law of non-contradiction. It states that a thing cannot both be and not be at the same time and in the same respect. This law cannot be demonstrated through further proof. Any attempt to prove it would have to assume its truth to make the argument, creating an infinite loop. Denying this law destroys the ability to communicate. Without stable definitions, human thought becomes indistinguishable from the silence of a plant. This axiom enforces the rigid boundaries between concepts required for science and deduction to function. At the Lyceum, Aristotle moved from abstract axioms to sorting the physical world. He developed a logical taxonomy to transition from simple observation to rigorous categorization. Human language, when used with precision, mirrors the structure of the universe through 10 distinct categories. He grants absolute primacy to substance. A substance is an individual, concrete thing, like a specific horse or a specific man. The remaining 9 categories, such as quality, quantity, and position, are dependent. They describe the substance but cannot exist without it. Concepts like whiteness or being 2 feet long must reside in a primary substance. They have no independent existence in the void. This distinction prevents us from confusing an object's temporary attributes with its permanent identity. Reality is a network of independent substances that act as the anchors for every other trait we perceive in the cosmos. If substances are the bedrock of reality, we must explain how they change, grow, or decay without violating the laws of logic. Aristotle proposes hylomorphism, the theory that every substance is a compound of 2 codependent factors. The first factor is matter. Matter is the substrate that survives change, the persistent potential to become something else. The second is form. Form is the actuality, the organizing blueprint that gives raw matter a specific functional identity. In this bronze statue, we can see the 2 factors separated for analysis. The raw bronze is the matter. It is potentially a sphere or a bowl. The shape of the god is the form, the actuality that organizes the metal into a distinct object. A functioning substance exists only when form organizes matter, binding the abstract design to the physical world. Once the nature of objects is categorized, we need a mechanism to reason about them. This is the function of the organon, a collection of works that separates the structural validity of an argument from the truth of its content. Its centerpiece is the deduction. The major premise establishes containment. If all B is inside C, C is predicated of all B. The minor premise links A inside B. The conclusion is inevitable. A is locked inside C. The middle term, B, guarantees the relationship. Because this structure is formal, the conclusion is absolute regardless of which real-world variables replace the letters. This contrasts with invalid arguments, like those with an undistributed middle term, where the geometric containment fails to connect. This makes logic a universal tool, functioning independently of the subject matter it processes. The syllogism provides a mechanized engine for extracting new truths from previously established facts. Formal logic has a limitation. A valid syllogism can still produce a false conclusion if the premises are not themselves verified truths. Aristotle addresses this through episteme, or demonstrative science. This process requires feeding the deductive engine premises that are necessary and better known by nature. Scientific knowledge is a grasp of the why. We must map the four causes to explain why a phenomenon exists and why it cannot be otherwise. First is the material cause, the matter that composes the object. Second is the formal cause, the blueprint or structural essence that defines it. Third is the efficient cause. This is the external agent or physical force that initiates the change. Fourth is the final cause or the telos. This is the purpose or end state toward which the change is naturally directed. We can see these four causes drive a single process of growth. The seed's material and its genetic form are acted upon by the efficient heat of the sun, all directed toward the final cause, the mature plant. By identifying the matter, the blueprint, the agent of change, and the end goal, we identify why a process occurs as it does. Mapping this causal hierarchy transforms a list of observations into a demonstration of natural necessity. Tracing the efficient cause leads to the logical problem of the infinite regress. If every moving thing requires a prior mover, the chain of causes seems to require a beginning. Aristotle relies on the requirement that no potentiality can actualize itself. It requires an already operative efficient cause to initiate the change. Trace the chain of movers backward through nature, and we reach the boundary of the cosmos. Here, logic requires an unmoved mover, a first principle that initiates motion without being moved by anything else. This entity moves the universe by acting as the ultimate final cause. It is a pure intellect, drawing all matter toward it as an object of desire and perfection. Aristotle's system closes its own loop, connecting the raw data of physical observation to the logic governing the movement of the stars.